Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something incredibly complex, the human body. But we're focusing on the language, the C1 lexicon. You need to discuss it with real precision.
Exactly. It's not just about knowing the parts. It's about understanding the function, the interaction. We've pulled together over 30 advanced terms.
And the goal here is to move you beyond just, basic descriptions. We want you to be able to articulate complex processes, whether that's in a medical context, talking about fitness, or even just understanding health news more deeply.
Precisely. This is about elevating the discussion. And to do that, we have to start with maybe the most fundamental concept of all, homeostasis.
Okay, homeostasis. Sounds kind of technical. Let's break that down.
It is a bit, but the core idea is simple enough. It's the body's amazing ability to keep its internal environment stable. Think internal equilibrium.
Stable despite
What?
changes outside.
Exactly, despite external changes. Think about temperature. Whether it's freezing cold or boiling hot outside, your body fights incredibly hard to keep its core temperature right around, 37 degrees Celsius.
Okay. So it's an active process, like shivering when you're cold or sweating when you're hot.
Precisely. That's homeostasis in action. Those are regulatory mechanisms, specifically negative feedback loops designed to counteract the external change and bring you back to that stable internal state.
Negative feedback, meaning it negates the stimulus. If you get hot, the body cools you down.
You've got it. It's a constant process of self-correction.
Yeah.
And it's not just temperature. Think blood sugar. After you eat, your levels go up.
Right.
So insulin is released to bring them back down. If you haven't eaten, levels drop, and other hormones like glucagon kick in to raise them. It's this constant balancing act.
So really, a lot of diseases could be seen as what? A failure of homeostasis.
In many cases, yes. That's a really insightful way to put it. Take kidney failure, for example. The kidneys are crucial for regulating fluids, electrolytes, waste. When they fail, that whole internal balance goes haywire. You get acidosis, electrolyte imbalances.
Yeah.
It's a systemic breakdown of homeostasis. It really shows how interconnected everything is. It's not just one system. They all work together to maintain that equilibrium.
Wow. Okay. So homeostasis is the goal, the state the body is always striving for.
It's the hallmark of being alive and healthy, fundamentally.
Which means the body needs systems in place to achieve it, like communication systems and critically transport systems.
Absolutely. Which brings us neatly to our next set of terms, focusing on how the body moves things around.
Right. Let's dive into the body's delivery network. The engine, the pipes, the whole circulatory system. Let's start with the big picture. The circulatory system itself.
Okay. Also known as the cardiovascular system or the vascular system. This is the body's critical transport mechanism. Its job is non-negotiable. Deliver oxygen, nutrients, hormones everywhere, and haul away waste products.
Essential for homeostasis, then.
Fundamentally essential. If the circulatory system stops, everything stops. Instantly.
And at the heart of it, literally, is the pump. We often use the adjective cardiac for anything heart-related.
We do. When we say cardiac, we're specifically referring to the heart muscle and its function. In more technical discussions, we might talk about cardiac output.
Output, like how much blood it's pumping.
Exactly. The volume of blood pumped per minute. It's a key measure, say, in sports science. An endurance athlete will have a much higher cardiac output than someone sedentary because their heart is more efficient at delivering oxygen.
And the opposite end of that spectrum, failure.
Right. The term cardiac arrest refers to the sudden, complete cessation of heart function. That requires immediate CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, to manually pump the blood until the heart can hopefully be restarted. We also talk about cardiac rhythm when diagnosing heart issues.
Okay, so from the pump itself, let's move to the main pipeline leaving it, the aorta.
The aorta, often called the great artery. It's the massive trunk line that receives oxygenated blood directly from the heart's main pumping chamber, the left ventricle.
And because it's right next to the pump.
It's under the highest pressure, which is why it has incredibly thick, strong walls. It has to withstand that force with every single heartbeat.
Its health must be pretty indicative of overall cardiovascular health, then.
Absolutely critical. Problems like an aortic aneurysm, where the wall weakens and bulges, are extremely dangerous. A rupture is catastrophic. Understanding its role as the main distribution point is key.
From the aorta, blood flows into smaller vessels, the artery network.
Arteries. These are different from veins. They have thick, muscular, and importantly, elastic walls.
Elastic. Why is that important?
Well, that elasticity allows them to absorb the pressure wave with each heartbeat. They expand, then recoil. This helps maintain blood flow even when the heart is relaxing between beats. It's sometimes called a Windkessel effect. They're not just passive tubes.
So conditions like hardening of the arteries interfere with that elasticity.
Precisely. When we talk about clogged arteries or atherosclerosis, we mean plaque buildup. This narrows the lumen, the inside channel, but also makes the walls stiff, less elastic. This reduces blood flow and directly leads to things like heart attacks and strokes.
Okay, so arteries carry blood away from the heart under high pressure. Where does the actual exchange happen? Down at the micro level, right? The capillary.
Capillaries. These are the microscopic vessels, just one cell thick in many places. They form this vast network, like a huge net, between the arteries and the veins.
And their thin walls are key.
Absolutely key. They have to be permeable to allow for diffusion. This is where the magic happens. Oxygen and nutrients diffuse out of the blood into the tissues, and carbon dioxide and waste products diffuse back into the blood to be carried away.
It's like a two-way street at the cellular level.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance of pressures: hydrostatic pressure pushing fluid out, osmotic pressure pulling it back in, that ensures tissues get what they need without becoming waterlogged.
And we can actually see capillaries in action sometimes, can't we? Like blushing.
Right. Or going pale when you're in shock. That's the capillaries in your skin either dilating or constricting. In the cold, skin capillaries constrict to keep warm blood deeper inside, closer to your core organs. Another example of homeostasis.
Okay, that covers the pipes. What about the fluid flowing through them? Blood itself. Let's start with the liquid base. Plasma.
Plasma. It's the yellowish liquid component, making up about 55% of your blood volume. Mostly water, yes, but it's packed with crucial stuff. Proteins, electrolytes, hormones, nutrients. It's the transport medium for all of that.
And it has direct medical uses too.
Oh, definitely. Plasma transfusions are vital for burn victims or trauma patients to restore blood volume and clotting factors. And donating plasma is essential because components are extracted to make life-saving treatments for immune deficiencies and clotting disorders. It's not just water.
Okay. Floating in that plasma are the cells. Let's talk about the most famous one, the oxygen carrier, hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin. It's a protein found inside red blood cells. Its job is incredibly elegant. It binds to oxygen where it's plentiful in the lungs and releases it where it's needed in the tissues.
And problems with hemoglobin lead to common conditions.
Yes. Low hemoglobin levels define anemia. The blood just can't carry enough oxygen, leading to fatigue, weakness. And understanding hemoglobin helps explain certain toxicities too.
Like carbon monoxide.
Exactly. Carbon monoxide is so dangerous because it binds to hemoglobin much, much more strongly than oxygen does, like 250 times more strongly. It basically kicks oxygen off the bus and suffocates the body's tissues.
Wow. Okay. Next component. The body's emergency repair crew. The platelet.
Platelets or thrombocytes, they aren't even complete cells, they're more like cell fragments, but they're essential for blood clotting. When a blood vessel is damaged, platelets rush to the site, stick together, that's called aggregation, and initiate a complex chemical cascade.
To form a clot, right, to plug the leak.
Precisely. They form a mesh, a stable plug to stop bleeding or hemorrhage.
And controlling platelet activity is a big part of medicine.
A huge part. For people at risk of heart attacks or strokes caused by clots forming inside vessels, we use antiplatelet drugs like aspirin. These drugs inhibit platelet function to prevent unwanted clots. Conversely, if you don't have enough platelets, you can have bleeding problems.
Okay, one more from this section. Let's loop back to the heart's chambers, specifically the powerful pumping chambers. The ventricle.
The ventricles. These are the two lower chambers of the heart, the ones with the really thick muscular walls. We need to be specific, though. There's the right ventricle and the left ventricle.
They do different jobs, don't they?
Completely different circuits. The right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood just to the lungs, a relatively short trip under lower pressure. The left ventricle, though,
That's the powerhouse.
that's the powerhouse. It has the thickest walls because it has to generate enormous force to pump oxygenated blood out through the aorta to the entire rest of the body against much higher resistance.
So doctors look at the ventricles for signs of trouble.
All the time. Things like enlarged ventricles or hypertrophy often indicate the heart muscles working too hard, maybe due to high blood pressure or a faulty valve. It's a sign of potential heart failure.
Okay, that's a comprehensive look at the transport system, the pipes, the fluid, the pump, all working to maintain that homeostasis we talked about.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears from transport to control.
Right. Moving from plumbing to, well, the internet of the body, the nervous system. Here's where it gets really interesting, dealing with information, thought, control.
It really is fascinating. And the absolute center of it all is the brain. We can start with the largest part, the dominant part, the cerebrum.
It's the cerebrum. That's like the thinking part where consciousness resides.
That's a good way to think about it. It's the forebrain, responsible for all the higher functions.
Yeah.
Complex problem solving, language, interpreting sensory information, turning raw data into meaningful perceptions.
Perceptions. So not just seeing light, but recognizing a face.
Exactly. And it's heavily involved in regulating emotions too, allowing us to have nuanced, controlled responses rather than just raw instinct. The different lobes of the cerebrum handle different aspects of this.
Okay. Now, distinct from the cerebrum, but equally vital, is the cerebellum, the little brain.
The cerebellum.
Yeah.
It sits sort of underneath and behind the cerebrum. Its main job is coordination and precision of movement. While the cerebrum might decide to walk, the cerebellum makes sure that walking is smooth, balanced, and coordinated.
So fine motor skills, like writing or playing an instrument.
Absolutely. And maintaining posture, balance. It constantly fine-tunes motor commands from the cerebrum based on sensory feedback from the body.
So if the cerebrum is the CEO giving the order, the cerebellum is the expert manager making sure it happens correctly. What happens if it's damaged?
Damage to the cerebellum leads to a condition called ataxia. People with ataxia have jerky, uncoordinated movements, poor balance, slurred speech. It dramatically illustrates the cerebellum's role in refining motor output.
Okay. Now let's zoom way in. The basic functional unit of this whole system is the neuron, or neuron.
The neuron, or nerve cell. These are highly specialized cells designed for one thing: communication. They generate and transmit electrical signals or impulses, often over very long distances.
Like the wiring of the system.
Essentially, yes. They allow for everything from rapid reflexes to complex thought processes by transmitting these signals incredibly quickly.
And losing neurons. That's the basis of some major diseases, right?
Tragically, yes. Neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's involve the progressive death of specific types of neurons. This neuron damage is what causes the devastating loss of memory, cognitive function, or motor control seen in those conditions.
But neurons don't physically touch to pass the signal, do they? There's a gap. The synapse.
The synapse, yes, the neural junction. This tiny gap is where the real magic of communication happens. When an electrical signal reaches the end of one neuron, it doesn't jump the gap electrically. Instead, it triggers the release of chemical messengers.
Neurotransmitters.
Exactly. Neurotransmitters cross the synapse and bind to receptors on the next neuron, triggering a new electrical signal in that cell. It's an electrochemical process.
And this synapse, it's not static, is it? It's where learning happens.
It's incredibly dynamic.
Yeah.
This is the basis of neuroplasticity. When you learn something new or form a memory, the connections at specific synapses become stronger or more efficient. Learning physically changes your brain at the synaptic level.
Wow.
And it's also where many drugs have their effect. Think about antidepressants like SSRIs. They work by altering the levels of certain neurotransmitters like serotonin right there in the synapse, usually by blocking their reuptake so they stick around longer.
So understanding the synapse is key to understanding both learning and mental health treatments.
Absolutely. It's the critical control point for information flow in the brain. Okay, we've covered transport and control. Now let's look at how the body fuels itself, processes that fuel, and gets rid of the waste. We're moving into the chemical factories: digestion, metabolism, and excretion.
Right. Got to get the energy in and the garbage out. Let's start at the beginning of the food journey after swallowing the esophagus.
The esophagus, sometimes called the gullet or food pipe. Its main job is transport moving food from the throat down to the stomach. It's not just gravity, though.
Yeah.
No, it uses waves of muscular contractions called peristalsis. It actively pushes the food down. That's why you can swallow, even if you're upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't recommend trying it.
Huh. Okay. And it's famously susceptible to irritation from below, right? Heartburn.
Yes, acid reflux. There's a muscular valve at the bottom, the lower esophageal sphincter, that's supposed to keep stomach acid down. If it doesn't close properly, acid splashes up, irritates the lining of the esophagus, and causes that burning sensation. Chronic reflux can actually damage the tissue.
Okay. The esophagus is just the tube. The whole process of breaking food down happens in the digestive system.
The digestive system, or gastrointestinal GI system, this is a complex assembly line. It performs mechanical breakdown, chewing in the mouth, churning in the stomach, and crucially, chemical breakdown.
Using enzymes.
Using a whole battery of specialized enzymes. Their job is to take large food molecules, complex carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and chop them up into smaller units that the body can actually absorb, like simple sugars, amino acids, and fatty acids.
So when we talk about digestive disorders, we're often talking about problems with that breakdown or absorption.
Often, yes. Things like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or celiac disease can interfere with the efficiency of nutrient absorption, mainly in the intestines. This can lead to deficiencies and impact overall energy levels, linking back again to
homeostasis.
Always.
Okay. Once the nutrients are absorbed, they fuel the body's engine. This brings us to metabolism.
Metabolism. This term covers the sum total of all the chemical reactions happening in the body to sustain life. It's really got two sides to it.
Two sides.
Yeah, we can think about catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism is the breaking down part, like breaking down glucose to release energy, ATP. Anabolism is the building up part, using that energy to build new cells, repair tissues, make proteins.
Breaking down and building up, a constant cycle.
Exactly. And the rate at which this happens is what people often mean when they talk about having a fast or slow metabolism. That's technically the metabolic rate.
And that rate can be affected by things.
Oh, definitely. Thyroid hormones are major regulators. And underactive thyroid, hypothyroidism, slows metabolism down, often leading to fatigue and weight gain. And overactive thyroid, hyperthyroidism, speeds it up. Exercise also boosts metabolic rate.
Okay, so we've digested the food, metabolized the fuel. What about the waste products generated by all these chemical reactions? That's where excretion comes in.
Excretion, the process of eliminating metabolic waste products from the body. It's crucial because many of these byproducts are toxic if they build up.
And it's not just one organ doing this, is it?
No, it's a team effort. The lungs excrete carbon dioxide when you breathe out. The skin excretes some waste products in sweat. But the star players are the kidneys.
What's their main job in excretion?
Filtering the blood. They remove nitrogen-containing waste, primarily urea, which comes from protein breakdown. They filter vast amounts of blood each day, keeping the levels of waste low and also regulating water and electrolyte balance.
So if the kidneys fail, that's impaired excretion.
Right. Impaired excretion due to kidney failure means those toxic wastes like urea build up in the blood, a condition called uremia.
No.
It highlights how vital waste removal is. It's just as important as getting the fuel in.
All right, we've covered the internal chemistry and communication. Let's talk about the physical structure that holds it all together and protects it, the skeleton and related parts. So what does this all mean for our vocabulary? It means having precise terms for the body's framework.
Definitely. And the most critical protective structure is arguably the cranium.
The skull, basically, the brain case.
Exactly. It's a complex structure made of several fused bones. Its primary job is obvious. Protect the incredibly delicate brain tissue inside from impacts.
Fused bones, not just one solid piece.
No. And that structure, with its joints called sutures, actually helps absorb and distribute impact flows. When discussing head injuries, it's important to specify the cranium. A cranial fracture is much more serious than just a cut on the scalp, obviously needing immediate neurological attention.
And the cranium is important in other fields too.
Oh, yes. In anthropology and paleontology, the shape, size, and features of a fossil cranium tell scientists a huge amount about the species, its evolution, even sometimes its diet or behavior. It's a durable record.
Moving down the body, in the chest, we have the anchor point for the ribs. That's
The sternum.
the sternum or breastbone, that long, flat bone right in the center of your chest. It connects to the ribs via cartilage and forms the front of the thoracic cage, protecting the heart and lungs nestled behind it.
And it's a key landmark for medical procedures.
Very much so. For CPR, chest compressions are applied directly over the lower half of the sternum. The idea is to use its rigidity to compress the heart beneath it. It's also sometimes used for bone marrow biopsies because it's accessible and contains marrow. Okay. The sternum and cranium are parts of the whole bony framework, the skeleton.
The skeleton, or osseous system, around 206 bones in the adult human. Its main roles are support giving the body shape and structure and protection, like the cranium and ribs. But there's another vital role,
Which is?
hematopoiesis, blood cell formation. Deep inside many bones, especially the larger ones, is red bone marrow. That's where virtually all your new blood cells, red, white, and platelets are made.
Wow, so the skeleton isn't just scaffolding, it's a factory too.
A vital factory, which is why bone health is so important. We talk about calcium and vitamin D strengthening the skeleton, partly to maintain its structural integrity, preventing conditions like osteoporosis, but also ensuring that blood cell production can continue efficiently.
Speaking of large bones, let's talk about the biggest, the femur.
The femur, or thigh bone,
Yeah.
it is indeed the longest, heaviest, and strongest bone in the human body. It has to be, to support our weight and withstand the forces of walking, running, jumping.
And it's a major attachment point for muscles.
Huge muscles attached to the femur, the powerful muscles of the thigh that drive leg movement. Because it's so strong, breaking your femur usually requires significant force, like a major fall or car accident.
And a femur fracture is a serious injury.
Very serious. It takes a long time to heal, often requires surgery. And because it's such a large bone with a rich blood supply, a fracture can lead to significant internal bleeding.
Okay, bones provide the structure, but joints need connecting tissues to hold them together but still allow movement. That's where ligaments come in.
Ligaments. These are tough, fibrous bands of connective tissue that connect bone to bone across a joint. Their job is stability. They prevent bones from dislocating or moving in ways they shouldn't.
So it's different from tendons.
Yes, crucially different. Tendons connect muscle to bone, transmitting the force of muscle contraction to move the skeleton. Ligaments connect bone to bone, providing stability.
So a common sports injury like a sprained ankle is actually damage to a ligament.
Exactly. Or more specifically, we might talk about a torn ACL anterior cruciate ligament in the knee. Knowing which specific ligament is damaged is crucial for diagnosis and treatment, whether it's rest, physical therapy to strengthen surrounding muscles, or surgical repair. All right, we're nearing the end of our systemic tour. This last section covers the crucial functions of regulation, defense against threats, and the constant process of getting energy through respiration.
Okay, let's start with defense. The body's security system. The immune system.
Immune system, an incredibly complex network of cells, tissues, and organs working together to defend the body against invaders, primarily pathogens. Its fundamental job is distinguishing self from non-self.
And it has different branches, doesn't it?
Broadly, yes. We talk about the innate immune system, the rapid, non-specific first responders, and the adaptive immune system. The adaptive system is slower to start, but is highly specific and creates memory. It involves specialized white blood cells, like B cells that produce antibodies tailored to fight specific viruses or bacteria.
And that memory is how vaccines work.
Precisely. Vaccines introduce a harmless piece of a pathogen, or one weakened version, allowing the adaptive immune system to learn how to fight it and create memory cells. Then, if you encounter the real pathogen later, your immune response is fast and strong.
But sometimes this powerful system goes wrong.
Unfortunately, yes. In autoimmune disorders, the immune system loses its ability to recognize self and mistakenly attacks the body's own healthy tissues. Conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or type 1 diabetes are examples. It shows how critical that non-self recognition is.
Okay, the thing the immune system is usually fighting is the pathogen.
Pathogen, a general term for any disease-causing microorganism or agent. This includes bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites.
So it's important to know which type of pathogen you're dealing with.
Absolutely critical for treatment.
Yeah.
Antibiotics work against bacteria, but they do nothing against viruses. Antifungals target fungi. Identifying the specific pathogen is key.
And basic hygiene practices are essentially about avoiding pathogens.
Exactly. Washing your hands is effective because it physically removes or kills pathogens you might have picked up, preventing them from entering your body. We also worry about pathogens developing resistance to treatments like antibiotic-resistant bacteria.
Okay, before pathogens even get inside, the body has outer defenses. The main one being the skin, specifically the outer layer, the epidermis.
The epidermis.
The epidermis.
It's the outermost layer of your skin. It provides a tough, relatively waterproof physical barrier against the environment, including keeping pathogens out and preventing excessive water loss.
And it's constantly renewing itself.
Constantly. The cells at the bottom layer divide, push upwards, flatten, die, and eventually slough off. The entire epidermis replaces itself every few weeks. Damage, like a bad sunburn, can compromise this barrier.
Interesting. Okay, shifting from defense to internal regulation via chemical signals, let's talk about the glands that produce these signals, the endocrine glands.
Endocrine glands. These are specialized glands that make and secrete hormones directly into the bloodstream. They're ductless. They don't have tubes leading outside. Their products go straight into circulation. Examples include the thyroid, adrenal glands, pituitary gland, pancreas.
So they're like remote control centers sending messages via the blood.
That's a great analogy. The adrenal glands release cortisol during stress, triggering body-wide changes. The thyroid releases hormones that set the pace for metabolism throughout the body. The pancreas releases insulin.
Which is a hormone. Let's define that term.
A hormone is a chemical messenger. Produced by an endocrine gland, travels through the bloodstream, and acts on specific target cells elsewhere in the body, telling them what to do. Insulin tells cells to take up glucose. Growth hormone tells cells to grow and divide.
Because they travel everywhere, imbalances can have widespread effects.
Absolutely. Even slight hormone imbalances can cause a huge range of issues: mood changes, weight problems, fatigue, sleep disturbances, reproductive issues. Because these signals regulate so many fundamental processes.
Which leads us to the reproductive organs. They're tied into this system too.
Intrinsically linked. Organs like the ovaries and testes are themselves endocrine glands, producing key sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These hormones drive sexual development and regulate reproductive cycles. But they also have broader effects on things like bone health and mood. Disorders affecting the reproductive organs often disrupt the entire endocrine balance.
Okay, final topic. The process that provides the oxygen needed to power all this activity. Respiration.
Respiration. This term actually covers two related things. First, there's the physical act of breathing, pulmonary ventilation, moving air in and out of the lungs.
We breathe faster when we exercise, for example.
Right. Your body detects increased carbon dioxide or decreased oxygen and increases the rate and depth of breathing to compensate. The second part is cellular respiration. That's the biochemical process inside your cells where glucose is broken down using oxygen to produce ATP, the actual energy currency of the cell.
And the pathway for air to get deep into the lungs is the bronchial tree.
The bronchial tree. Starting from the windpipe, trachea, the airway divides into two main bronchi, one for each lung. These then branch again and again, like an upside-down tree, into smaller and smaller tubes called bronchioles.
Getting air closer to where gas exchange happens.
Exactly. They lead eventually to tiny air sacs called alveoli, where oxygen passes into the blood and CO2 passes out. This extensive branching massively increases the surface area for efficient gas exchange.
So lung diseases often affect this bronchial tree.
Very often. Conditions like bronchitis involve inflammation of the bronchi or bronchioles. Asthma involves constriction or narrowing of bronchioles, bronchoconstriction, making it hard to breathe. Using the term bronchial tree helps us visualize exactly which part of the respiratory infrastructure is affected. #outro.
Wow. Okay, that was a truly deep dive. We've covered everything from the body's overall regulation with homeostasis through transport, control, fueling, structure, defense, linking it all to this precise C1 vocabulary.
And hopefully you can see how these terms aren't isolated definitions. They connect. A problem with an endocrine gland affects a hormone, which disrupts homeostasis, impacting metabolism, and maybe even straining the circulatory system. Understanding the words means understanding the connections.
Absolutely. You should now feel much more equipped to discuss these complex biological systems with real clarity and functional understanding.
It moves the conversation beyond just naming parts to explaining how it all works, or sometimes how it goes wrong.
And to leave you with something to think about, building on everything we've discussed.
Consider the sheer elegance and efficiency of the human body. Its ability to maintain homeostasis, the constant surveillance of the immune system, the rapid repair systems using platelets. It's arguably the most sophisticated machine we know.
So the provocative thought is,
Well, as we gain this precise vocabulary to describe it and understand its intricate systems like the circulatory system or the nervous system in such detail, how does this inform our attempts to build complex systems ourselves, like in AI or regenerative medicine? Are we just describing the body, or are we starting to truly learn the design principles of this incredible biological machine?
definitely something to ponder. We really encourage you to take these terms, homeostasis, cardiac, neuron, synapse, metabolism, ligament, pathogen, hormone, all of them, and start using them right away. That's the best way to make them stick.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
And if you found this useful for boosting your advanced English vocabulary and understanding, please do like this video, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube for more deep dives like this one.
We look forward to exploring another topic with you next time.